Ah, starting. It's locked. Okay then. It's weird as like little upside down L is the area I'm looking for. I did not want to do that. Climb back up. Yeah, so while I've been like out of it and exhausted, I have been like online. I've been doing some other stuff here and there. We're doing some more like programming stuff. Because I haven't been programming. Well, I haven't been programming and drawing for a little while, and so I wanted to get back into that again. Do some a bit of practice art, that kind of thing, and practice coding. I've actually been trying to make a small virtual machine. Something that just takes in like a binary file and tries to act based on the information in it, that kind of stuff. And I've been having fun with that. I've been here to the right. But while I've been doing that, I have been on and off on Twitter and such. And there's been an interesting discourse that's been going on. I mean, it's Twitter. There's always some kind of discourse going on Twitter. That's a given. But sometimes the kind of discourse can be more or less... Sometimes the kind of discourse can be more or less interesting to talk about. And this one, what's been going on is this whole fiction affects reality movement, as they're like fucking calling themselves. Which, right off the bat, yes, of course, fiction affects reality to some extent. Depending on exactly how you define reality, but I'm going ahead and assume you're talking about just like the real world where you can like pick up and like touch things in real life, that kind of shit. Yes, you can watch fiction, get ideas from fiction, and apply it to the real world. Yes, fiction affects reality to that extent. The problem is that the fiction affects reality people is a kind of like wrapping up that idea with a bunch of other ideas as well. Basically Marxism. And a big whole, oh, if you think fiction affects reality at all, that means we should start pursuing the ability to, like, just, you know, censor, go full censorship and destroy fiction that doesn't conform to ideas and that kind of stuff. And it's that kind of, like, thinking presentation. And they're presenting that whole idea of, oh, if you disagree with the destruction of art, oh, that means you don't think censorship affects reality. You're the people who don't think censorship affects reality. And now that proves how stupid you are. Oh, and if you think if you think fiction affects reality, that means you must agree with our censorship and destruction of art. Is that kind of manipulation tactic. And it's got me thinking as well about how that's actually kind of like a more common tactic to manipulate people that I first, like, thought about. Like, packaging up easy to agree with ideas with a movement and then claiming that idea as part of the movement. Then claiming anyone who's not agreeing with the movement is too stupid to agree with the simple idea, that kind of stuff. You see a lot, and I'm slowly working on it. I think I've more or less figured out the strategy. It's a propaganda strategy. And I've decided to just call them hook principles. Like, ideas that you attach to your movement to try and hook people in and manipulate them into like, agreeing with the rest of the movement. And I posted on Twitter, but I actually have it here. Let's bring you back up again. And swap the image out. And there, okay. You can kind of see it here. Like I said, I've been a busy boy. I occasionally, like, I take lots of, like, notes and, like, notepad and such. This is just converted to a PNG, but you get the idea. And my desktop is fucking full of just random notepad TXT files of notes like this. And I've been, like, thinking about how this propaganda tactic works, and I might as well just quickly go through it, just so we can, like, illustrate it so, you know, anyone who sees this kind of going on again, you can, like, spot it quickly and realize when someone's trying to manipulate you, because this happens. The more I think about it, the more often I realize this happens, especially for the last 100 years. This has been a very common kind of thinking. But basically, like, the example I'm using, like, in this, like, if you're here to, I was gonna say now, if you're here to watch the game, don't worry, I will get back to that. I'm just gonna spend like a couple of minutes on this, and I'll be right back in. I can mostly play and talk, but this is one of the ones where I kind of want like some kind of visual thing aside while I'm thinking. Actually, you know what? I'll keep the. If I just scroll over this, you can like read this yourself, take a screenshot or whatever. And I'll just like talk about it. I'll open up in like another window. There we go. The whole thing's been on the screen. If you need it, just screenshot it or whatever. Fuck off. Okay. I can like from here. I'll just like try and talk and play at the same time, I guess. But with the way I was writing it down, I wanted to like use like an example. Where am I going anyway? Yeah, I wanted to like use an example of like if you wanted to try like applying these like hook principles to like your own version of propaganda. I knew there was something here. As the example I kind of used is like, let's say you were like a super like cat person who just like despised dogs or something. Like you hated dogs, you wanted like the whole species just to be genocided. You're like that evil. You love cats, and you want everyone to own cats, and you want everyone to appreciate cats like you. So, obviously that's a bad thing. Like, no one wants to like fucking genocide dogs. So how do you like manipulate people into kind of like agreeing with that? And the general way I have on hand is like, first of all, just like write down what your core principles of your movement are. Like in this case, what I've got written down is just cats should be the only allowed pets as a principle. Dogs should not be allowed to exist. Castrate male dogs so they can never breed. Kill all puppies so that people have to buy kittens instead. And just for a cherry on top, torture dog owners to make an example of them. Like you're that fucking evil. So how do you get people to agree with that? How do you get people to fight for that movement and join it? Well, as I've been saying, with these kind of like hook principles, which is what people have been trying to use. Which is what people use for like other stuff as well. In this case, your hook principles, it basically has to be just something that's really simple and something that's really easy to agree with or accepts, which kind of aligns with your points, kind of. So for this movement of genociding dogs, your hook principles could be simple things like kittens are cute, and they are. Dogs can be dangerous. That's a hook principle. Just, it's a fact. That is a fact. Some dogs can absolutely be dangerous. And like you can say like dogs have bitten people, so yeah, you can add that as like a hook principle. And just like these, it is a fact that kittens are cute. It is a fact that dogs can be dangerous. It is a fact that some dogs have bitten people. Obviously, this is not nearly enough to justify genociding the entire species, but that's kind of the point. Is you just want like people to see these principles as being like yours. Next is like you just like for part 3, you've added your core principles, you've added your hook principles. Part 3, step 3 rather, would be it's optional, but you can name your movement after your hook principles. In this example, I'm just like, oh, we're the kittens are cute movement, or dogs are dangerous movement, something like that. Like at the what I was talking about earlier, the fiction affects reality movement, as they call themselves. They name themselves after the hook principle to make people like vaguely aware that that's there. That's the principle you're supposed to be talking about and agreeing with. That you hide all the other principles behind. Awesome. Okay. Right, so you've named your movement. You've got your hook principles. Now is the part where you actually like try to persuade people to agree with the shit you're saying. And I've got 5 basic steps you just need to follow for that. Pardon me. Yeah, the 5 steps to like get people to start agreeing with movement. First of all, just treat your hook principles like they're like an exclusive idea belonging to your group. And that's, people not... What's that? That if you like... Well, yeah, it's just that. Treat the hook principle like they're just exclusive to your group. Then convince people that agreeing with the hook principles proves that there's common ground between you and the person agreeing with you, proves that your movement makes some good points, quote unquote. Like, oh yeah, dogs have bitten people, so I guess you are making some good points. And also just try and claim like agreeing with these hook principles is reason enough to try and start fighting for the movement, because, well, as the next part is part 6, convince people that disagreeing with your hook principles convince people that disagreeing with any of your principles automatically means disagreeing with your hook principles. So if someone says, oh, they disagree with the idea that people should only be allowed to own cats, well, then you just pull the conversation back to your hook principle and just say, oh, so you think dogs can't be dangerous? To push that kind of narrative. If you say anything bad about your movement, just claim they are fighting against your hook principles, which are super simple, super easy principles to agree with. That way it kind of gives your movement more strength. And part 7, as I said in the thing, just constantly steer the conversation back to your hook principles if people start talking about your non-hook principles. Like, constantly bring them up, constantly try to push them as like your own thing. Constantly try to convince people that agreeing with your hook principles automatically pulls you into the movement and proves that they should be part of the movement, and disagreeing with anything else proves that they disagree with your hook principles, which obviously they wouldn't, but if you think about it, obviously it wouldn't, but if in the moment, it doesn't feel obvious in the moment. The next step is like convince anyone onlooking on the situation that anyone who disagrees with you about anything is clearly disagreeing with your hook principles. Oh, that person who disagrees with my movement? Oh yeah, they're just an idiot who can't understand simple facts like dogs can be dangerous and dogs have bitten people. Look how stupid they are for disagreeing with my hook principles. You, onlooker, you don't want to be stupid like them, do you? You should join my movement. Because I say things that are easy to agree with and sound smart. And like I say, you can see how you repeat those like 4 to 8 steps 4 to 8, like treating your hook principles like they're exclusive to your group, and just keep doing that over and over and over again. And you start to push people into like thinking like, oh, they kind of have to join your movement because they don't want to seem stupid. Like, they don't want to seem stupid for disagreeing with your hook principles. They don't want to seem stupid for disagreeing with something so obvious as dogs have bitten people. Like, you don't want to sound stupid. You don't want to disagree with that. Clearly, all those other people who disagree with that, they're the stupid ones. Oh, look at all those people disagreeing with these obvious statements. They must have fallen for some kind of propaganda. Don't they know that people can be affected by propaganda? Look at those idiots who are definitely the ones being affected, and not me, I'm so clever, kind of thing. People on ironically talk like this. I've literally seen it. It's genuinely fucking funny. People will talk like how obviously you're being affected by propaganda while they're being affected by propaganda. And yeah, from that point on, people will just start joining your movement because they get like a feeling of dominance just from like being dominant in conversation by just pushing your hook principles, because that gives you a feeling of dominance. Like, if you disagree with hook principles, that means you're stupid, and that means I feel dominant. People like desire that. It's just like an instinctual human thing. People will also join because they don't want to feel stupid for disagreeing with hook principles. People will want to feel smarter than everyone else. And some people will join just because their friends and allies have already been tricked into joining, and people want to do what their friends do, and they want to do what their allies do. And if your like friend group is part of the Jew movement, you just join in automatically because you want to protect your allies, and that's the like tribal caveman part of your brain kicking in. Then, as the movement grows and grows and grows, the argument at populum fallacy kicks in, which is the whole, well, that many people can't be wrong, Yeah, fallacy. I fucking hate that fallacy, but so many people push it. Like, yes, lots of people can be wrong. It's a very, very annoyingly common fallacy, but it's a fallacy. And at that point on, because you at that point you don't even have to argue the hook principles yourself. Like people are just like learn from your example and would just argue like you did, and your movement is basically just self-sustaining at that point. And people are just arguing to make your movement grow and grow and grow and grow. And then once enough people have enough people are like in your movement and have joined it, then you start enacting on your non-hook principles rather. Remember what I said earlier, the whole we should start genociding dogs kind of thing. Like the castrate male dogs and such, start implementing ideas like that. And at that point, like so many people like so hyped up and part of your movement, and they consider you part of their tribe that they will just like go along with that. Because that's just the thing that's supposed to do. This many people can't be wrong. We're all part of this group. Then the group think kicks in. And even the people who didn't realize they were joining a movement that were going to do that, they were like, wait a minute, that's not why I joined this. Even those people will be like pushed forward due to the confusion of the situation and just will be like prevented from resisting due to like that natural like groupthink and the bystander effect, that kind of stuff. And yeah, at that point, you've just started a movement about genociding dogs, and this is how actual movements have started over the years. Like, oh god, you could probably think of plenty yourself, honestly, because this I've seen this so many times. Where's that notepad? Like I see this is even in, not just in big moves. I see this in small places as well. Like, just communism is a classic one. Communism's like sharing is caring. That's like one of the hook principles. Sharing is a good thing. That's an easy thing to agree with. I agree with that. I don't fucking agree with communism though. But they use that as like one of the hook principles to hook you in. Nazism, the other side of the spectrum, which is surprisingly similar to communism. The more you learn about it. They would talk a lot about how being healthy is good for you, and and basically it's a form of socialism anyway. And they talk about more that you just look into the propaganda of Nazism. They threw a bunch of hook principles in their propaganda, where it's just like, oh, here's like some super easy to agree with ideas that would make you want to like agree with the movement, kind of thing. Before they did what they did. Black Lives Matter, that was a big one, controversial still in people's minds. That whole movement was. Again, just the name alone. Black Lives Matter. Yes, I agree. Black people's lives do matter. That is a hook principle. That does not mean I agree with every single thing that happened as a result of the movement, though. Like, that kind of stuff. And in the recent times, the UK Online Safety Act and similar such acts, their hook principles are keeping kids safe. That I agree with that. I agree kids should be safe. That does not mean I agree with the Online Safety Act. That was a terrible idea. And you can kind of see like how this strategy is like implemented like all over the place, really. Luckily, I know I'm not playing the game anymore. I'm nearing the end of the conversation. I'll get back to it, don't worry. But luckily, there are ways of fighting the strategy once you're aware of it, once you realize people are trying to manipulate like that. As I've come across just a handful of ways pretty easily. One is just pointing out the strategy. Like, if you can just point out that this is the strategy people are using, that kind of like, this whole thing kind of relies on people's ignorance to like manipulate you. If you know this is happening, it's not going to work. And if you could tell other people this is happening, it'll have less an effect. You can also point out how absurd it is that agreeing with the hook principles means agreeing with everything else. Like, that's dumb. Like, yeah, as I said, just because communism says sharing is good does not mean every single other thing communism said is a good thing. They're definitely not. Point out that the hooks are not exclusive principles to the movement. Like, again, just because I agree sharing is good does not mean that automatically makes me have to join communism. You can agree with these hook principles and not join the movement. The whole thing earlier, the whole fiction affects reality thing. Like, yes, I agree. Fiction affects reality. That does not mean I'm joining your movement because your movement is fucking stupid. Yeah, so you can agree with the hooks about joining the movement. You can also agree with the hooks and literally go directly against the movement, like because the hooks are not exclusive ideas. As much as these movements try to treat the hooks like they're exclusive, they're not exclusive. As the movement often tries to steer the conversation towards hook principles constantly, do the opposite. Constantly steer the conversation back to what their non-hook principles are. In the case of like the whole genocide dogs thing, if the people of that fictional movement would constantly bring up the movement's hook principles of, you know, dogs can be dangerous, dogs can bite people, constantly steer the conversation back to their non-hook principles, saying, well, yeah, you're saying that, but you're also trying to genocide the species, which is wrong. Keep steering the conversation back to the non-hook ideas of the movement, so that every onlooker is aware of what the actual end goals are, and like that kind of thing. And if relevant to the movement, if depending on what the movement is, point out if the non-hook principles are even contradictory to the hook principles, because the hook principles might actually, you know, be hurt as a result of the non-hook principles. It's a thing that can happen. If there's contradictions, just make sure to point it out. It's like on my Twitter as well, I posted like that fucking image of what was it, of Squidward? Where is it? Is that even on my computer? Or is that just on Twitter? Right, close YouTube, close the browser, bring my image back up. Yeah, you can see all the stuff I was talking about just all here. And like I said, I showed that off earlier. You can just screenshot that or whatever. Maybe I'll even put on like a link in the description. Oh, it's on my Twitter, honestly. I just like link to my Twitter post about it. Does YouTube even allow posts links to Twitter? I don't actually know. Alright, so where are you? There we go. There you not go. Where the fuck did I go? The fucking throw it off screen. Where did I go? If I move you there. There we go. Yeah, like the people who are doing the whole fiction affects reality thing, they started talking about Santa Claus for some reason as like an example of fiction affecting reality. Like I said, fiction can affect reality. But no, people celebrating Christmas, which was what the guy was talking about, was used as an example to push his movement. That does not mean art turns people into murderers. Yeah, people celebrating Christmas is not proof that art turns people into murderers and rapists, and it's not justification to start implementing Marxist ideas that will result in the censorship and destruction of all forms of expression. That's the movement in a nutshell. Like, we're using the hook principle of fiction affects reality to push Marxist ideas about art. And like, if you just like bring up the non-hook principles, it kind of kills the movement. Like the guy who posted the original Santa Claus fucking thing ended up deleting his shit because of comments like mine. It wasn't just mine, there was like a few others as well, but people were laughing at him. And yeah, that's that whole fucking thing, that whole piece of propaganda. I gotta say, I don't like talking about this kind of stuff. It's a fucking pain in the ass, but as it's like, it's a whole just because you don't like politics doesn't mean politics doesn't like you kind of thing. It's going to push its way into my life where I'm going to fucking tackle it head on where I can.